Well, welcome back to another live stream. I'm Keith. I'm your host. This is Life Journey Production Studios, and I'm very excited to be with you. Let me know if everything sounds good right now. Looks like we have good audio, and hopefully nothing's echoing. There's nothing weird going on. Right before I change cameras, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining me. Let me know where you're from, and give us a shout out. And if you are watching this video and you don't see the little live button lit up, because I have rewind enabled, if you want to be a part of the live stream, the live chat, then obviously you need to click on that live button. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't been here before, welcome. But right before I went live, I was adjusting my Sky camera, which I forgot I had my 100mm lens on it. So what does that mean? That means it's a zoom lens. It's a prime lens, which means it doesn't zoom in and out, but it's 100mm. And so it's a close-up of my chairs, and I wanted to adjust it. I didn't tighten it. It literally fell down. You may have heard it, and it hit my speaker. So I'm going to fix this real quick. Stand by. The Surgeon General has determined that that could be hazardous to your studio gear. So I'm just looking at the chat here. I want to say hi to someone really special tonight. Angie is on here. We basically say we're brother and sister, even though we're not related as far as physical blood, but we do have history together. We work together. And so she's on. And I'm going to let you guys say where you're from. If you want to share, I'll leave that private, but it's great to have you guys on here. And so again, give me a shout out. We are going to have a Q&A a little bit later. Let me kind of give you an view of what we're going to do tonight. First of all, I want to try to do my best to slow down and to, give you information and try to make sure that I'm making sense for both those of you that are maybe just starting out. You might be here because you want to know more about MixEffects and the update that's out today. I downloaded the update a few minutes ago, and you may not know what a MixEffect is. We'll talk about that. We're going to actually look at some lighting tonight, and I've done videos before on my channel about lighting, but I've never really kind of talked about some of the importance, and so we're going to touch base about that tonight, and we're going to actually learn a term. I've always called it one thing, but there's a technical term for a certain type of lighting, and we're going to talk about that. We also are going to demo two HyperDecks. I actually borrowed a HyperDeck from a friend of mine here in my local area. Actually sent the text a number of weeks back and then suddenly got a reply. And so I have two HyperDecks in my studio. I'll define what those are as well. So those are the three things we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about this update from MixEffect. We're going to look at how to control two HyperDecks from MixEffect. And we're also going to touch base on lighting. And I got a phone call a couple hours ago from my son who's out of the country. And he has a moving truck coming. I'm very excited that my second oldest son, who's been traveling the world, he served in the Marine Corps. He's been doing security around the world. He did it for a while in the Seattle, Washington area. Then he's been in the Bay Area, in California, and all around the world. And he's moving home. And we've been waiting for a phone call from his moving truck. We got that phone call 3 hours ago. So they're going to call sometime between 5 and 5:30, and I got to run do that. So I want to stay on track tonight. I want to give you what you came tonight, and that's for us to kind of learn and grow together, talk about live streaming. And then I want to open with this tonight. First of all, I want to say thank you so much to Adam Tao. He might pop in tonight, so watch the people that are in the chat tonight. He is the designer of an application that's available for iPad, iPhone, iPod Touch, and it's designed to control the switchers. And if you don't know what a switcher is, it's designed to switch like there's a light switch. I understand that, but it's a video switcher, so you can have a number of different cameras coming in, or a computer could come in. You could bring your phone in if you have an adapter, which we are going to bring an iPad into tonight's stream. And then you can switch between those different inputs in a live event. Like this, I can switch right now between camera 1 and camera 2, which you're going to see the scene behind me. This is my set. You can see my softbox on the floor because we're going to touch that tonight. And so not only are we going to do a little show and tell, we're going to talk about some lighting. I really want to talk about the advantage of this application. And thank you, Adam, for allowing me to have kind of a heads up yesterday of the new feature that you're putting out in MixEffects and the updates out now. It's version 1.1.0. And so we're going to talk about the crazy updates that he's been doing and all the things he's adding for that tonight. That's going to be a part of our Q&A conversation. See if you're using it, get your input. If you are coming on this live stream after we were live, that's great too. And so I'd love to hear from you as well. So just put your comments, or if you're using MixEffects, if you've looked at it, if you've downloaded it yet, and what you think of this new update. So again, thank you to Adam. But before we get to looking at the MixEffects and controlling the Hyperdeck, I just want to say that there's a lot of little things when you're streaming. And one of the things that I'm growing in, and you're probably growing in it too, if you're streaming or you're producing videos, or maybe this is just your passion. Maybe you're learning, maybe you want a podcast. Those are things we talk about in the channel. Maybe you're learning about microphones, or maybe you want to know more about switchers. And so I use the Blackmagic Design ATEM Extreme ISO. And that means I could record ISO tracks tonight. What that means in my switcher is that I can record every single signal. So this view would be recording, this view would be recording, my desktop would be recording, all of these different inputs. MixEffect on my iPad would be recording. So all of these different inputs, let's put our logo back up here. All of these different inputs will be recorded if I record ISO. And so having the ability to be prepared and get ready to stream if you're streaming, and don't get me wrong, you can stream from a webcam, you can stream from the laptop camera, you can stream from your iPhone, your Google phone, whatever it is, if it has the ability with a camera and audio, and to stream out to YouTube or to these different sites like Facebook, and you got TikTok videos that you can do. There's places you can stream live other than YouTube, where I'm at right now. I have streamed in the past on Facebook. I also had a YouTube channel where I just uploaded videos years ago. So getting prepared and knowing all of these steps and having these tools are super important. And that's where MixEffect comes in, because one of the things that we like about the Blackmagic Design ATEM, which is the first one they came out, it was called the Mini. And then they came out with the Mini Pro. Then they came out with the Mini Pro ISO. Then they surprised us with an Extreme, which is what I have now, the ISO version, and the Extreme and Extreme ISO. And all that really means is that they started out with a little switcher that was very affordable, under $300, that you could have 4 inputs. You could have a webcam coming into your laptop. You could stream through OBS. You could record in some software on your computer. And it was a great tool, took the world by excitement. It's an Australian company, and the rest of the story. Now we're all the way up to the Extreme. And they've been making switchers for live events and for video production and for news broadcasts and all of that for years. But most of them were rack mounted or giant consoles. But to make it affordable for us who are at home streaming or at work or business, connecting, and you want to be able to do more than just show that one image on your web camera and then maybe share your desktop like you can do in Zoom. Maybe you want a number of different views and you want to be able to have more than one location in a room you're streaming. Like I have this set here, which is right now camera 2. So I can light that differently. I can sit over there. I could do a stream from there, and we're going to get up tonight and we're going to go over there for just a few minutes. But so again, the switchers come in handy to be able to do all that switching. Then for years, they've been playing video clips on these decks, right? These big reel-to-reel decks. Then they were cassette, these giant cassette tapes, and you would forward back and back, and it was film. right? It was recording tape, right? VHS tape, not film, but VHS tape. And then they came out with the digital world that we live in today. And so things had to change. So Blackmagic Design's answer to that is what we call the HyperDeck. It's just a little mini box. It's been out for a number of years now. It needs to be updated. And you can put an SD card, and we're going to look at that HyperDeck tonight because, again, I have two. And you can put a little SD card in it. It has to be fast enough. So I think it's 125 megabytes a second, which is how fast you can write to one of these cards. That's what that means. And then it has to have enough space. These have 64 megabytes on them. So it's really not for recording a big event. I use these mainly to play intros, outros, videos, background videos in my lives. And I have bigger discs that are in my camera, 256 gig, same speed. These are 170 megabytes a second. So more than capable to record 4K video on this little disc. And so MixEffect and HyperDecks kind of solve a number of problems. One, I want to be able to play video in my live stream, and you can't do that from any of the ATEMs. When you get to the bigger consoles, they have the ability to play 90 frames. So if you did 30 frames per second, that would give you 3 seconds of video. So that's great for a stinger or for an animation that does your transitions. That's great for that, but it's not currently available in any of the Blackmagic Design ATEMs. So in order to play video and not just a still graphic like I have right here, then you have to have something that's going to play video, and you can do that from a computer. You could do that from an iPad. There's a number of different ways to do it, and there's lots of different resources out there. But I use a HyperDeck because it's designed to integrate with the Blackmagic Design switchers. So if I change to camera 7 right now, whatever video I have queued up is automatically going to start playing. And when that video is over, I can transition back to camera 2. And you saw that for our intro video. I played a still image for a while with just my music playing in the background to start early in the night. And then I switched to my intro countdown video, and that played from my HyperDeck. So MixEffects is an application that you can download that was designed by Adam Tao. And he added recently in an update, not today's update, but another update, which we covered here on the channel, the ability inside that application to control not only your interface, your switcher, right? So I can take my iPad, which I have MixEffect on right now. That's the super source page. If I just want to look at the switcher page, I'm just going to tap up here on switcher. And now there's the switcher page. And so I can switch, and this iPad is wireless. I have it plugged in right now because I want to show it to you on the screen, but I could take this and go over there and sit down. And so MixEffect, because it's been written from the ground floor up to operate the switchers, and it'll operate the bigger switchers, the rack-mounted switchers by Blackmagic Design, and it'll also switch all the ATEMs, and it'll also control the different level of features that you find in the different levels of those Blackmagic Design devices. So one, MixEffects goes on an iPad, even on an iPhone or an iPod Touch, and lets you control your mixing console, your switcher, and not have to be here to push the buttons. Or even more, if you had a console or a rack-mounted device and you don't want to use the control software that runs off of your laptop, but you want to control it a different way. You don't want to buy a big media console that can control it as well and create pushable buttons, but you want to be mobile, then those guys now can use MixEffect as well. So I say that to say this, 2 major features for me. One was to be able to control HyperDecks. So I'm going to leave the shot right now, and I'm going to bring up my my iPad, which is on my input number 6. So this camera here is number 2, and I have 8 inputs in my extreme ISO. So that means I could have 8 cameras, 3 cameras like I have, and then have my iPad come in, my laptop comes in. And so I can show you my laptop. I can show you my my iPad now. So let's cut to the iPad. So here's the iPad, and this is MixEffect. So in MixEffects, I have the switcher page, I have macros, and macros can be programmed to do certain things. So if I hit these macros right now, you can see my waterfall intro actually will play tonight's intro. I just didn't reprogram it and change the name. Or I can go to the audio page, which is showing you the levels, and I have 2 microphones tonight that are on my desktop. One is muted, we'll use in a little while. So I have the first one unmuted and the second one muted. I can go to, again, the macro page. I can go to the media page, which is a list of all of the things I have in Media Player. And you can see I have 2 media players in my ATEM Mini Extreme ISO. When I had my Pro, my ATEM Mini Pro, I only had 1 media player, which means that I can only have 1 graphic loaded at a time. Then I've got transitions, which lets me change different types of transitions. I have my upstream keys, and I have 4 of these that I can use in my mixing console. I've got my downstream keys, and I understand that may be Greek to you. And then super source, which lets me bring up different layouts and bring them up on the screen. So let's just bring up super source. So if I go back to the switcher page, and then in this top section here in the middle, you can see all the different inputs. I even have my media players there. I have color screens I could bring up. So for instance, I could switch right now to a color. So let's just switch to color 1, and I'll hit auto. And now you have a color white. I could switch to the other color, and I can change these colors if I want to. But I'm doing all this from MixEffects. I can go back to camera 2. I can do all that from my iPad, and that's what's really cool about MixEffects. But here's the feature that I wanted to really touch base tonight and show you and demonstrate to you that you can not only control one HyperDeck, but this app has been designed to now control a number of HyperDecks. So you could have one HyperDeck to play videos like your intro video. So you could have the second HyperDeck just recording one of the HDMI outputs out. And that's what's neat about my switcher, the ATEM Extreme ISO. It has 2 outputs. One is Multiview, and the other one is whatever I would like it to be. In fact, I can send different features to different inputs, but one would go to my other HyperDeck, and then the other one would be so I can see what is next, and that's what Multiview's for. And we can talk about that a little bit more in another video. So the HyperDeck, if I'm going to show my intro video and I'm at a different location, or I can't be where the mixer is, it's really important to me that I could push record on one deck and push play on the other deck and be able to control what's happening in those 2 decks. And I can do that now from MixEffects. So let's go back to, in fact, let's do this. Let's go into Super Source now. So in MixEffects, I can actually change what's going to what box. So if I open up the Super Source menu and I click inside of here on box number 3, which is that bottom box, and right now it's my HyperDeck. So if I push play on my HyperDeck, you're seeing my intro video. But let's say that I want to show you my MixEffects app. So let's bring it on the air right now. It's in input number 6. So I just assigned input number 6 in this super source to this particular app. So MixEffects lets me do all these changes. They're really intuitive. You can see right here the 4 boxes. Box 4 is not live right now. It's off the screen. But box 3, box 2, and box 1 are all live. Box 1 has my camera 2, which you see right here. If I was to switch it to camera 1, there you see a cropped version of my set. I switch it to camera 3, there you see, there's that 100 mil camera that fell, and it's a close-up of the floor and cables. So if I switch to camera 4, now you see in my view the control software. If I switch to camera 6, now there's a second version of MixEffect. Back to 7, there's my HyperDeck still playing the intro video. If I hit stop, it stops. But I can also uncrop that image if I wanted to. So let's reassign that box number 3 or 2 actually one, back to my camera, and there I am back again. So here's where we wanted to go tonight, as you have a basic understanding, is now this is the Hyperdeck, and you can see I have Hyperdeck 1 on the left and Hyperdeck 2 on the right, which is awesome. So now I can show you the image of Hyperdeck number 1 because I have it coming into my channel 7. So let's do that. So let's go back into Super Source. We're going to now take that top box and we're going to make box 2 now input 7, and there is my video. So there I stopped it on the Hyperdeck itself, and I'll show you those here in a minute. Watch this. I'm going to now go back into my Hyperdeck settings, and I know that my intro and my outro video are on Hyperdeck number 1. So let's just do my subscribe for right now. And I'm going to hit play. And there is my subscribe playing. So if I want this animated subscriber button in the middle of my live event, I can actually play that from MixEffects through my Hyperdeck. And I can do that from over here in the chair. So now let's look at Hyperdeck number 2. Now, in order to show you Hyperdeck number 2, I'm going to make a little transition here. Actually, let's just see if we can do this. Let's switch. Continue. So there you go. So this is the 2 Hyperdecks. So you have Hyperdeck number 1 on the bottom, which is the one I have, and Hyperdeck number 2 on the top. So those are the 2 Hyperdecks. So the top one I have set up to record. Okay, and I don't have anything hooked up to it right now because I'm using that cable in channel 6. But in a second, we're going to go back to my camera view and I'm going to switch it and we're going to actually record inside the Hyperdeck using MixEffect. So on one of them, it's designed to play my videos. That's the one I have every week. The other one, if I had another Hyperdeck, I would probably use to record or do replay. And that would be fun. Like if I had a guest on, and I could just record what they were saying, and then later on, if I wanted to, I could just replay it on a separate disc. Or if I wanted to edit a portion into a really quick YouTube video, then I could use a Hyperdeck just to record one portion of a live stream with a live guest. And then as soon as that live stream's done, I could upload that interview as a complete second video on my channel, which is what I really want to use a second Hyperdeck for. If I was out doing a live event, then I might use it to record a speaker and hand it off to them. And you can see the use of that in business, the business world, in home class teaching, and YouTube channels, and live streaming concert events. I mean, imagine if band 1, you could hand a recording of their concert with live audience footage, multi-camera edit. You could use a Hyperdeck to do that and then put another disc in for the next band, or just switch between disc 1 and disc 2. So real quickly, we're going to go back to my main camera here. I'm going to unplug the back of my ATEM console switcher. I'm going to unplug the input because this is coming from my iPad. And now I'm going to plug it in to an adapter that I have that converts HDMI to SDI, because that's the only way to get a video input into the back of the Hyperdeck. And I'm going to plug this in, excuse me. And so when you have an input going into one of your Hyperdecks, you have a play mode, and then you also have a record mode. And so now that I have this hooked up, I can bring it in now through the recording in the Hyperdeck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record right now what I'm seeing in my Hyperdeck number 2, and I'm going to do it all from the app. So I'm going to start in MixEffects, and MixEffects has the ability now to operate both Hyperdeck 1 and Hyperdeck 2. Now you could take that same Hyperdeck and use the 2 outputs on the back. They're 2 SDI outputs, so you do have to convert those. I can show you what those adapters look like right here. So there's a look at the adapters I have in the back. It takes one of the smaller adapters to convert one of the outputs on the Hyperdeck, and it takes the bigger two, one of those for the alpha channel, the other one's for the key channel, and then the lower converter, which is the one that I just plugged in, that converts HDMI to up to 4K 30 frames per second SDI. And so I could record out of a camera from the HDMI out into that converter out. It converts it to SDI. Remember, it goes from HDMI to SDI. I'm going to steal this cable for a second. So I'm converting this to this. And that conversion then lets me come out of the HyperDeck into 2 channels in my mixer. So if you only have a 4-channel mixer and you have 2 HyperDecks, you got to take up all 4 channels if you want to play graphics, motion graphics into your mixer. If you just want to play a video, then you can just send one signal. But if you want to play motion graphics that key out the background, then you would have to use both channels. And I don't have it hooked up that way. I have the HyperDeck number 2 hooked up into my network, so I can communicate to it from MixEffects. I can communicate to it from the control software, and I can control it, but I do not have it set to come back into our show tonight. I actually have it set so I can go into it and do recordings and things like that to it. So MixEffects will control 2 HyperDecks. Once you have the HyperDeck set up right and it's in your network and you open up the control software, you're going to see 2 HyperDecks. So let me show you kind of what that looks like here. And then we'll switch gears here. But let's bring up, again, just the second source I'm going to use. We're going to change back to MixEffects. I'm going to go into... Anytime you go away from it coming back, it has to reconnect. So I'm going to go into, let's go into Super Source, and we're going to change box 2. Now, we're going to change it to my desktop. So there's a control software. And if you click on the bottom here in the bottom left-hand corner, this is where you would connect your HyperDecks. So you can see it sees 2 HyperDecks. But the MixEffects sees 2 HyperDecks. You can go from record mode to playback mode, record mode, and playback mode. And if I have playback mode brought into my switcher, then I actually can play back a video on the screen because my HyperDeck is coming in to my switcher. So MixEffects HyperDeck features can control a number of HyperDecks, and that's really important if you're going to add extra HyperDecks to your setup. And obviously, you got to go in and make sure you set up all the settings, what kind of codec you want to use, and there's lots of little things that you have to do to get ready. So let me just look at the time here. So that's the main thing with MixEffects that I wanted to focus on tonight, but we are going to talk about this new feature that ATEM released today. And I just want to really kind of open up a dialogue and give you an opportunity to ask any questions in our Q&A. But what ATEM added today is the ability to take this view you see here on the bottom right, or if we were just to cut to it full screen, 6 full screen, then I can actually bring Multiview into this display. And so that's super, super powerful. So what is Multiview? Well, I keep my Multiview out of camera right now, but this is Multiview where it shows me all, I'll move this over a little bit. This Multiview shows me everything that's going on there. There's my camera 2 confidence monitor. You can see that better. So when I go over to the table or the chairs, I would turn it that way so I could see it. And I can also pivot this TV in my studio. It also pivots my light that's attached to the stand. But that Multiview now can be brought in to your MixEffect. That means I could be over sitting there, or I could be away from my monitors and I could have a monitor on my screen. And that's what he added. Really what he did is he added the ability to bring in a signal from a web page. HTTPS, I believe, is the format. And so if you bring your Multiview into your laptop or into your Macintosh, and you bring that in there, you can go into an app called Video Ninja. That's a free app. You can download it on OBS's site, and you can just search for it, and you can download that app, and it'll take that signal that's coming into your laptop and coming from your ATEM. So you'd have to come out of the HDMI out, right? Just like I am doing for this monitor right here. So if I wanted that picture right there on my MixEffect app to appear right here on the screen or on any screen so I could see it over there, then I would have to then use OBS Video Ninja, and Video Ninja would give me the ability to send a signal that's going through the web, and then I can open that signal inside MixEffects and display that on the screen. And it's the same way you use OBS Ninja. I could do the same thing and send you a link and bring you in because you fire up that OBS Ninja at your location, and I could bring you in to a live event, or I could use Zoom or Skype, and there's lots of other things like vMix and all those other apps that are out there. So that's a cool feature for ATEM to add. I know in a number of the groups that I was in, listening to questions, viewing the discussions, they were asking, how can we get Multiview on our iPads or on your iPhone? It works either way. So I released a video today, interview with ATEM yesterday. It's here on my channel. Then a few minutes later, about 30 minutes later, ATEM did his own demo on his channel. And so that's the new feature. It's called Remote Web View, and that is now available for free. If you already have MixEffects, you can download version 1.1.0. It's on the Apple Store right now. So not only does he have the Hyperdeck features in there, he's added new functions inside the Hyperdeck. Lets you know when you're recording, when you're not recording. It flashes at you in case you're at a live event. You'll get a warning that you're recording, a warning that you're not recording. Time code. It now has the ability for me to walk around that venue with my Multiview. And if I'm a one-man show and I need to go somewhere and I can't be at my console and we're live, right? I still got to hit Hyperdeck record. I still got to be able to see what's going. I need to make sure I'm sending the right image to the live event, and that Multiview is going to be priceless. So I want to talk about lighting here real quick. So I did a video on the Aputure MC lights. I also built a case. My case is actually right there on the chair. It doesn't have any lights in it because I wonder if you can notice where those lights are. Let me get out of the way here. On that side, you can look around my room. If you've been here before, behind me, I wonder if you can tell me where my Aputure lights are. And I wonder if you can tell me how many Aputure lights I have in this scene. So the reason I got these little Aputure lights is that they can change what this room looks like. I already have this lamp, which is a LED light, and I'm going to steal my phone now so I won't see the chat. And a lot of these now lights are wireless, so I can go on my phone. In fact, let's just for fun, let's steal the camera view and switch back to super source. And we'll turn that off. We don't need to see that. And so here is my phone. So I can flip over here. Here is my control for my Elgato lights. I can turn these lights on and off right now in the live show. Here's the one on my face. This is a hair light. You can see that my hair changing. And it's not traditionally a hair light. It's kind of a fill and hair light. A hair light would be right above me. And I used two of my Aputure MCs in my video with ATEM last night. So I had two of those Aputures right above me. And so not only can I control these lights, I can also go into the Wiz app, which controls, let's just bring this up close here. Camera 6. I can turn those lights on and off. So the right light is my lamp. The middle lights are LED lights. They're on the window behind me, and they also wrap around a plant. And then I have a hallway light. So I can use this as a way to set a theme, which is what I did. And every time I change back that, I have auto row set on my Hyperdeck. And so it rolls every time I cut back to that. So the nice thing about MixEffect is I can just go into that window and say, I don't want you doing that anymore. So I'm going to give it camera 1. And so there's a look at that view. You have a look at this view. And if you want a better look at my view, I'll let you see that again. I want you to tell me where you think I put my Aputure lights. Again, the little lamp doesn't count. The lights down there on the curtains, the lower shelf, that's my my Philips lights, and the lights that are on me are my Elgato lights. And then I have the TV on. That is a TV, and it has a feature that lets me show it like a picture frame, and I have that on. But you let me know if you can find the lights, and then I want to talk about why I purchased those Aputure lights and how you can use them to make your situation better. So let's go back to the chat here and see what you guys are saying. Yeah, I agree. Being able to switch discs is very helpful. Adam, thank you for adding that feature. Let me know in the text, and let me grab my mobile microphone. We're going to switch to this. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me put my headphones on real quick. Okay, I hear it. It might be delayed. I apologize. And let me jump up real quick, and I'm going to go back here and show you these lights. So let's move the chair out of the camera. So I have one light right here. Let's get this out of the way. Here's one Aputure light. Here's a Aputure light right here. Here is an Aputure light right here. And so that's 3 lights there and 1 light there. And that's how many Aputure lights I have right now. And what that does is it just adds a new dimension to the live stream. It just adds some depth. So all of this light, these 2 lights that are on me are designed to be at this desk. The lights on the windows is just to bring in some light, and then adding the Aputure lights, as well as I have another set of lights, and this is the softbox that's off of one of my lights. And I was just talking to a friend today that this is a ability to control the light. It's a grid. And what that does is you can see that it keeps the light focused. If I take this grid out and now I turn the light back and forth, then you can see that light's going to spread a lot more because you can still see the white even at that angle. But if you use the grid, you can't see very much white at all at that angle. And so that means that the light's going to be focused. And the bigger the light on your face, right? The bigger the surface, the softer the light is. So I hope that that maybe helps you understand a little bit about why we have big soft boxes, because it wraps your face and makes the light really soft. And these lights in front of me are about this big, so it's a little harder. It's going to have harder shadows. But when I go on the set over there or at my table, I'm able to then be able to use those bigger soft boxes, and I have softer light on me. And I can have more people without the grids because I can throw the light really wide, and I can also control the light with the grid. But the Aputure lights really are really good. So one of the things I wanted to say, so in this scene, when you look at it, this set is set up for this camera. So where I place the lights are just designed to add a little bit of light under the TV, light back there. But if I cut to this camera, when you look at this view, right, does this look like one of those Aputure lights that aren't being seen now should be moved someplace else? Because I have an idea and I want to show you this. So I'll take my mobile mic again and we're going to get up. My chair is out of the way right now so you guys can see me. So let's grab this light that was lighting up the TV, and let's see if we can find a more practical place to place this light. And earlier today, I thought something like this would be cool behind my little box. I could put it back behind here to light that ship up. So let's come back to the chair. Let me switch back to the other camera. But you take a look at that. Is that a little bit more practical a light setup? And if it is, if you think that is, please let me know, because that word practical is the terminology that they use for lights like these. They could be in a jar like a flame. It could be in a candle that you don't want to light the candle and you just want to have a flame there. There's just a lot of different things that you can use that light for. And so when you look at that view, does that view look a little bit better when that one light was moved over there? Now imagine if I had 4 more of those Aputure lights. And then really this one underneath my shoulder wasn't doing that much tonight because my shoulder's in the way most of the time. But because I wanted to move it from one location to another location, that's why I set it there. So I hope this helps you know a little bit more about lights and maybe that terminology practical. I don't know if it came up because there's just practical places that need light. It creates depth behind me. The TV looks good. This is what it would look without the TV. This is what it would look if I turn off those practical lights. So let me open up the app here and I'll turn those lights off now. So there they go. That's what it's like without the TV. Let's turn it completely off. That's what it's like without the TV. That's what's without those lights. And then if I was to go another step further and open up my Wiz app and turn these lights off, there you go. Now there is no lights behind me. And then if I was to just use my phone app, which I like to use for my Elgato key lights. And so again, there's the app. And if I was to turn these lights off, there's what it's like with one light. And if I didn't have any lights, there's what it's like with all the lights off, except for I have the big lights in the back, and those are shining down to kind of fill the room and create a backlight. And I have a switch right here that will turn those lights off. So there's lots of lights in here because I think it takes different types of light to make your set look right. So let's turn that light back on. Let's turn these lights back on in the background. Let's go back into, and you can see I'm doing all of this from the app. Let's go back to the Sidus Link app and turn those lights back on. And so now when you cut back to the other camera view, there you go. You have a great set look, and I can see a number of different areas there that I would like to add light. But that little splash of light up on that shelf is one of the reasons why I was looking at these lights for a long time, especially when I use my other camera angle that goes from that corner of the desk to that back corner on the left-hand side. So it is now 5 o'clock. And if you guys do not have any questions, Freddie asked, can you use the Stream Deck to control the MC lights? Well, I did some research, and so far, Freddie, I have not found a solution for that. That doesn't mean there isn't one out there. I only had about 4 hours to dig, and I didn't find anything. I looked through Elgato's site and the Stream Deck apps. They have apps to run Philip Hue lights. I couldn't find an app to run this particular set of lights I have, which are by Philips as well. So far, I have not found ability to control through the Stream Deck the MC lights. But I'll tell you this, the Sidus Link app is amazing. In fact, Aputure just came out with a whole new device so that you can use the Sidus Link app with your Aputure MC lights. You can also use that app with their older lights because it helps communicate between all the lights to that link. And so check that out on Aputure's site. It's pretty cool. I can't remember the name of it right now, but later on I'll put a link in the notes. So awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here with me tonight. I'm going to say farewell. We'll see you again here next Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Hopefully we'll have some new great information for you, something cutting edge. and we'll be able to talk about it here tonight. But thank you so much. And if you have any insight or feedback about that new feature in MixEffects, please let me know, and also let Adam know. He worked really hard on that, and that is awesome. So I'm going to bid you farewell. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, we're going to roll the outro.